Welcome to USA Global TV and Radio, where our mission is to provide education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. USA Global TV and Radio connects you with experts and audiences all around the world every single day to help you succeed in business and to live a richer life. Visit us at usaglobaltv.com to learn about career and life-changing training and mentoring programs like the Listening Mentor. Subscribe to our newsletter to stay informed about our special programs and offers. Discover how you can become a guest on one of our shows or a host or producer of a USA Global TV and Radio show of your very own. That's USA Global TV and Radio, where the doctor is always in.
Hello, everyone. Happy New Year. Happy 2024. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for all of your follows, your likes, your subscribes, your comments in 2023. We are excited to present USA Global TV and Radio, the United Kingdom News and Culture episode 100. Yay! I wish we had some balloons or confetti or something, but we don't. So we're just excited to be here for another year. And we are super excited that our expert correspondents are with us from across the pond, bringing us the latest and greatest. Joining us, returning as the star of our show, she is the world traveler, DIANN FLOYD. As long as there's a white wall or a green, she's ready to go. Let's welcome her and find out what she's been up to. Hello, DIANN.
Hi, Dr. Jacalyn. Happy New Year and congratulations for 100 episodes.
Thank you. And thanks so much for being with me on this ride for 100 episodes. It's amazing. So, DIANN, you're able to join us. You get on the bus and wherever you have to go, you show up and you can broadcast. What's that like for people who are out there and they're thinking, you know, I travel a lot. I don't think I could really be on any kind of show because I'm not in one place too long.
Oh, my goodness. Don't let anything stop you. That is the beauty of technology today, no matter where you are. If you have a drive and a message you want to get across, I mean, don't let anything stop you because the software will make it happen. And why not join USA Global TV's family? Because Dr. Jacalyn will make it happen for sure. And she didn't pay me to say that.
Well, thank you, DIANN. I appreciate it. And we're going to find out what you've been up to. We're going to bring out our other panelists, and then we'll just go around and see what people are doing. Joining us from across the pond, it's HELENA CHARD. She always has a lovely smile on her face. And DIANN, as you mentioned, we just love her accent. Let's welcome her. Hello.
You are too kind. Thank you so much. It's so lovely to see you. Oh my gosh. 100. I can't believe this is our 100th show. We should be here cheersing. But we're sharing things and we're here together and it's lovely. Yeah, exactly. Thank you so much. It's always lovely to share my knowledge and the news here in Great Britain. So thank you so much, Jacalyn. And
well, thank you. Thank you. And with drink in hand, I'm thinking, I don't know, maybe we have somebody on our team who is actually celebrating Simon MacDonald. Hello.
Of course.
Happy New Year. You know, we're still celebrating in Scotland. We never give up.
Now, what kind of pour is that? What's in there?
Oh, we lost him. It was so heavy.
Yes,
maybe Island needs to help you with that. I don't know. It looks like
No, I've got a very fine red wine and on the go today. You know, I've run out of whiskey.
It looks like a very generous pour.
Well, you know, we don't do half measures in Scotland. We really
Well, and as we know, it's later in the day. It's in the afternoon there, 4 p.m. GMT. So it's good to get a nice start. But before we go through the news, I would love to just go around and what's a key takeaway that you took from 2023 and what's something that your why for 2024? DIANN, what comes to mind for you?
I was so afraid you were going to say that to me. There's so much to take away. Number one, I always feel that every day is a blessing when your eyes are open. So that's my biggest takeaway, is I always give thanks. 2023 really let me know that anything and everything is possible as long as you stay positive. And I believe my word for this year is kindness. We all need to share our kind thoughts, be generous to others when we can, to help bring a little bit of light into the world, because we need it right now.
Fantastic. That was beautiful. Thank you. Simon, what are your thoughts? Last year versus this year?
Last year was a good practice session for this year. I'm getting busier by the second. And I mean, it's the old adage I always use as well, that the sky is not the limit when there's footprints in the moon. So, yeah, I'm going for it this year. And I have got a pretty full schedule as well. It just gets better and better and better. So there we go.
Congratulations.
So proud of you.
Exciting. Yay, way to go. Helena, what are your thoughts about last year versus this year?
You know, I'm not like celebrating as in, oh, you know, things are going to be absolutely great. I took away lots of things from last year, which are good, and hopefully will be better. I'm very aware of what's going on in the world, and I think to keep talking about constructive, positive news, or news which is going to help and inspire and give hope, is so important. That's something I've believed in for years and years. And I think coming into 2024, from my own personal point of view, I am looking at, you know, everyone talks about these to-do lists, goodness me. They are to-dos, but I just think that 2024 is all about pockets of joy. As DIANN said as well, it's about being kind. And the biggest thing I think in the world, and I've had a lot of conversations with friends, family, acquaintances, is being tolerant. We have a world at the moment which is obviously discombobulated, and I'm hoping 2024 we can just try and pull things in a bit. Being tolerant and understanding different thoughts is the way forward.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Helena. I love that. Well, I just want to personally thank each of you. People don't realize, you know, we're all running from one thing to the next, and it's not like we have nothing to do. And you take your time to be here and to add value. It takes time to prepare and get the information together that you're going to be sharing with our audience. So thank you. And DIANN, I know you're on the road traveling. You make an effort to be here and lead us through this show as well. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. I know we have a lot to get to today on the 100th episode of the United Kingdom News and Culture. Let's go over to Helena. What have you to share with us today?
Oh my goodness, Dr. Jacalyn, thank you so much. There is so much going on, but you know, we are at the beginning of the year, and I just thought I'm going to start with something which is really good fun. It happens in, I think, a lot of countries, including America. And so bathers, so people that have this feeling that they want to rush to the sea or rush to any kind of water, have braved the cold waters. And on New Year's Day, I mean, I have to say over the whole festive period, but I'm going to talk about New Year's Day, have raced into the sea for so many different reasons. I mean, this is something that dates back years and years and years. And people think, okay, over the Christmas period, there's hangovers. So you race into the sea to try and get over your hangover. But my feeling is it's actually a lot about endurance. So there's a lot about strength there. And also charitable causes. So people also are raising money for charity, and it's a fabulous thing to see. And I have a few photographs of different places here in the UK and one just outside the UK, but just to give an idea of what happens. I mean, we all know, but it's amazing, isn't it, how New Year's Day everyone's like, yes, yes, and everyone gets up early and they race off, and the water's obviously absolutely freezing, but it's just that camaraderie, the spirit, togetherness, how everyone is doing it for different reasons, but it's a really quite joyful, and again, as I say, a pocket full of joy, and it's so good to see. So we will start with, hopefully, if we have the photographs, of a lovely photograph of people racing. Yay! This is Scotland. So this is the Looney Duke swim that Simon may be aware of in South Queensferry in Scotland. So you can see how everyone, I mean, that's just a picture of obviously animation. It's great fun. So everyone's having good fun. And I love that. So that's Queensferry in Scotland. But we also have another photograph from Whitmore Bay, which this does make me laugh, actually, because Barry Island, which is Whitmore Bay in South Wales, is we have a great programme here, or sitcom, that's run for years and years and years, with loads of, it's quite famous, and now I can't even remember the name of it, but I will remember it shortly and let you know. But it shows lots of people racing into the sea, and I have friends that have joined this. This was last year. This is this year. It's slightly, being a photographer, I can see it's slightly overexposed, but it's good fun. Everyone's there racing. Who's going to get into the sea first? I just love that idea. And obviously people dress up, they do funny things, and it's a way of everyone getting together and having a chat, which I love. And that's the Looney Duke swim. Moving on, I thought I just would give a different one, which is obviously not the UK, but I found it really funny looking at the photograph. So this is Scheveningen in the Netherlands, if we have the photograph. So many people, I mean, look at that, and they're all wearing orange caps. I mean, it's something that they do each year. I mean, for me, that just seems a little bit too much, but I just thought, hey, goodness, way to go. I think good for everyone. Everyone's got their own reasons to race into the sea. Can you imagine that cold sea and that invigorating feeling, I think, which is fabulous. Anyway, I think that's a lovely photograph. And moving on as well, because the Netherlands is very, very close to Denmark. Now, people are completely gobsmacked that Queen Marguerite II, the world's only living queen now, has actually stepped down, which I find incredible. And I think everyone's completely shocked. And the reason I want to bring her up is she was a very good, I wouldn't say close friend of Queen Elizabeth II, but they had a very good bond. And she's stepped down now. She enjoyed a close friendship with Queen Elizabeth II. She actually cried at her funeral, and they used to refer to each other as their nicknames. So Daisy and also Lilibet, which was Queen Elizabeth when they were younger. And they're both great-grandchildren of Queen Victoria. Everyone's great-grandchildren or cousins of Queen Victoria. They're also cousins. And I just think it's quite a shock. It was quite a shock for me as well. But now Crown Prince Frederick is going to be king. This is happening on the 14th of Jan. And his Australian-born wife, Princess Mary, is going to be Queen Consort. I think she looks very much like Kate Middleton, so the Princess of Wales. There's some kind of synergy there somehow. But it's one of those things that's happened. And I just think as well, just to celebrate the Queen, basically, who's given up, is the fact that she was such an icon fashion-wise. She's 83 now, I think. But we have a lovely photograph of her, I think, when she was 82 with her family on the balcony. Do we have that? If we don't, it doesn't matter. But it's quite interesting to see. No, that's not that one. But it doesn't matter. But don't worry. Vogue referred to her as the fashion, the fashion Bible, Vogue, as we know, as the unsung style hero. She was 6 foot. She used to always eat. She was an absolute chain smoker. Hot dogs. She always ate junk food. and was incredibly strong, but she had a back operation not so long ago, and she just decided when she was giving her Queen's speech, something like 12 minutes in, to say that she was going to give up being Queen. I find it fascinating because I like anything royal, so it was lovely to share. I wish you could see a picture of her, but she's incredibly animated, her fashion sense absolutely bright, and she really completely shone.
Helena?
Yes?
Is this the video?
No, it's not the video. It was just a photograph of them on the balcony, but it's fine. It doesn't matter. But I think what we'll do, we'll sort of move on to I'm just thinking now, what do we move on to? There's so many different things. I think thinking about, because of Daisy, who's her nickname, Queen Margaret II, stepping down, everyone has been like saying, oh, King Charles, our wonderful king, oh, maybe he should step down and make way for the youngsters. And it's created this furore here in the UK. And I was thinking, goodness me, King Charles is so well established. He's been king for probably about 18 months now. But he has been a king. It's taken a long time. He's been a long king in training. Why should he give up? He's as fit as an ox. He really is so strong. There's nothing wrong with him. He's incredibly bright. He's done Great Britain and the Commonwealth so much good so far, and I hold high hope for things continuing. So I would say absolutely categorically no for all the people that are thinking around the world, you should abdicate, absolutely not. But also he wouldn't, as his mother did, the late Queen Elizabeth II. They were both anointed, and it was the coronation. It's a huge, great big ceremony, and a pledge to the people and to God. And there's no way that they would just abdicate to their, sons, daughters, unless they were incredibly ill. So absolutely not. But I would like to move on to the fact that we have, as I've said, King Charles, to me, a great success, and I think has surprised so many people here and abroad, and how brilliant he is. And we have a little video, and this is something that's been released on the King and Queen's social media. And it's just a little sort of 12 months of all the little bits and pieces that they've done. And it starts with a funny little cam video of them in their carriage as they are going to Parliament, which I think is quite fun. So hopefully we have that and we can play that.
Stars. I wanna die in your arms. Cause you get lighter the more it gets dark. I'm gonna give you my heart.
Oh, I absolutely love. I love, isn't that, I mean, that is success. I have to say, that's 12 months. Isn't that a lovely video?
Fabulous.
And that beginning bit of them, it's the little cam thing of them in the carriage is, I think to me, when they're sort of travelling to the opening of Parliament and obviously waving to people along the way, I just think how super. It's absolutely wonderful. And interesting as well that there's a new government poll, which is, there's more of it coming out. And it's the one thing that came out is that half of Britons actually celebrated the King's coronation, which really, to me, I was so excited. I mean, there's going to be obviously a lot more release, but that general statistic, I think, is great news. And the King and Queen are going to be visiting lots of Commonwealth places, I think beginning with Canada, and they will be moving on to Australia. And I know the Prince and Princess of Wales, I think their next place they're going to is Italy. I mean, it's so great forging these wonderful relationships. So we've got a lot more to look forward to in 2024, and I just can't wait. And I sort of want to say a big thank you, really, because there's been lots of ups and downs. But, you know, I just think that people are quite stoic and strong, and it's good to see, and it's going to lead us into a better 2024. And I think always each year at the beginning of the year, which is really good fun, we have the New Year's Honours List, which is really good. Now, these are awards that our king or the monarch or anyone that the monarch assigns to give over, to give awards, you know, that can give out awards. We recognise people that have contributed to the nation in some kind of way, or you know, have made something or done something remarkable. And I just would like to speak about a couple of people. I mean, there are fabulous people to talk about, but first of all, I'd like to talk about, we've got a couple of, I think I'm going to talk about Rizan Javed to begin with. Now, Rizan he works on the Queen Elizabeth line, so he works for London Underground. It was always his mission to help people. Always wanted to, if anyone was upset or worried, he would always be there. That was his mission. He has been honoured for his services to mental health, and he has been an assistant since 2015 and has actually stopped 29 people from taking their lives. He's inspirational, he's caring, I just love that the fact that he gives, it's his life's work, it's his mission to help others. And also he's not, I think he's of Indian descent, I'm not too sure, but he was saying that in his world that lots of people, they never ever talk about mental health, you know. His mother, his auntie, or whoever would be like, they'd sort of give like a sticking plaster just to cover it up. So that's why he also, I think that's another reason why he's done so well. Very caring, great empathy, and to be able to just speak to people about general things and to prevent that kind of thing. Wow. So great thanks to Rizan Javed. Yeah, absolutely. I'm just really, really pleased. We've got a photo of him. There he is in his uniform, Queen Elizabeth line. But such a lovely, lovely chap. And it's so fabulous to have him speaking so direct and wanting men to speak out more, especially because it's something that's needed, which is great. And I think also we've spoken about Tony Hudgell. I know Simon also brought this up some time ago. Now, Tony Hudgell, the most lovely, wonderful, vivacious young chap. He's now, I think he's almost 9. He founded his own foundation to support vulnerable children. And if everyone remembers, he unfortunately didn't have such a good introduction to life. He suffered a lot of abuse. He nearly died, but he survived his abuse. And he's now the youngest person that is recognised in the New Year's Honours List, which is absolutely lovely. I mean, he's so beautiful. He's raised over 1.8 million for the hospital that actually basically saved his life. And he's also a great friend of the Princess of Wales, which obviously makes sense because obviously her charitable status as well. What a lovely guy. So he's younger here in this picture. But I think we may even have another picture. If not, it doesn't matter. But I'm just so excited. Oh, look at that. You know, he's so lovely. He's vivacious. That's all I can say. So outspoken to raise 1.8 million for walking. He was inspired by Sir Captain Tom. Anyway, that's from the past. And he's got his British Empire medal, so BEM. Which great. I'm really, really excited for him. And there's so many different medals that are given out. They're all different statuses, etc. But I think we could talk about that another time. But I think that finally, I just want to mention, really give a shout out to and a celebration of Camilla Batmanjalida. Now, she was a fabulous woman. She unfortunately has passed at the age of 61. She was the creator of the children's charity Kids Company. 61 years of age, she's passed. But again, as I say, let's celebrate her life. She did so much good. She set this charity up in 1996. She supported more than 30,000 vulnerable young children. Can you imagine? And they loved her. They thought of her as a mother. She sadly, unfortunately, in 2015, her company was looked into. She was accused of so many different things, but she was proved innocent. That's so important. This is her, as you can see, larger than life. Great background. She always looked so bright, but she did so much, and I will never forget. She was so loving to so many children and lovely in general. So sad to lose her at 61. She was with her family when she passed, and obviously I'm really sad. But I just think, it's always so important, especially in the new year and all the time, to celebrate people that do good. It is absolutely imperative, because it's that ripple effect, as I say. And if everyone's kind and everyone reaches out, it's, this is the way to move our world on. And we always want to achieve that peace, don't we? Okay, we may never get that, I don't know, but we can all strive together. Thank you.
That was wonderful.
Thank you. Brilliant.
Thank you so much.
I'm getting chills thinking about all those people running into the freezing cold water.
I love it. I actually had so many more pictures as well, where there's some, because people get completely dressed up and they do these funny dives and things, and I think good for them, especially the people that are raising money for charity, their own charities. I think it's really
I've actually just had a thought there about the that shot on the video clip with King Charles and Camilla in the carriage coming. That carriage has got Wi-Fi in it, so in actual fact, when they're trotting along in the carriage, they could be watching USA Global TV live.
Yeah, they could be.
I'm sure they are.
It would be great to have you interview them as they're watching us. Fantastic. Well done, Helena, as always. Thank you so much for the effort and the time that you put into your reporting.
You're more than welcome. There's so much more going on, but that's just a snippet.
Well, that was a great way to start off our 100th episode. And Simon, you'll be bringing us around to the second part. So let's go over to you.
Yes, well, I've been running the series on seats of power for the past few weeks, and so we're now moving north of the border into good old Scotland, and this is more a little bit of history with mystery as well, and it's about the honours of Scotland, which is better known as the Scottish Crown Jewels. And they're the regalia that were worn by the Scottish monarchs at their coronation and kept in the Crown Room in Edinburgh Castle. And they date from the 15th and 16th centuries, and they're the oldest surviving set of crown jewels in the British Isles. Well, most of them are. The honours were used together for the coronation of Scottish monarchs from Mary, Queen of Scots in 1543 until Charles II in 1651. And from the Union of the Crowns in 1603 until the Union of 1707, the honours were present at the sitting of Parliament of Scotland and signified the presence of the monarch and their acceptance of the power of Parliament. And following the Union of 1707, the honours were locked away in a chest in Edinburgh Castle, and the crown jewels of England then continued to be used by the British monarchs as the crown jewels of the United Kingdom. The honours were rediscovered in 1818 and have been on public display at Edinburgh Castle ever since. The honours have been used at state occasions, including the visit of George IV in 1822 and Queen Elizabeth II's first visit to Scotland as monarch in 1953. And a national service, of course, of the Thanksgiving for Charles III following his coronation in 2023. So the Crown of Scotland is present at each opening ceremony of the Scottish Parliament as well. And the honours of Scotland consist of the Crown of Scotland, the sceptre, and the Sword of State. The gold crown was made in Scotland out of Scottish gold, and in its present form dates from 1540. The original sword and sceptre were made in Italy as gifts to James IV from the Pope. The honours also appear on the crest of the Royal Coat of Arms of Scotland and on the Scottish version of the Royal Coat of Arms of the United Kingdom, where the Red Lion of the King of Scots is depicted wearing the crown and holding the sword and sceptre. They might have to change that now. And coronation robes, a pair of spurs, and a ring and consort crowns were also part of the Scottish regalia, but none of these survive today. Now, how do you lose the crown jewels? I mean, there's the mystery and the history. The gold ampulla of Charles I that held the announcing oil of his 1633 coronation now belongs in the National Museum of Scotland. The Crown Room in Edinburgh Castle also contains the Stone of Scone, or the Stone of Destiny as it's otherwise known, and the Elizabeth Sword, which is a silver gilt wand, a silver gilt wand of the 17th century Stuart jewels, and the Lorne jewels, which were bequeathed to Scotland by Princess Louise, who was Duchess of Argyll in 1939. And the earliest known depiction of a Scottish king wearing his symbols of sovereignty, King Edgar, who reigned 1097 to 1107, wears a crown and bears a sword and sceptre and his great seal. His brother, Alexander I, is shown holding an orb, and by the reign of John Balliol, the regalia consisted of a crown, sceptre, sword, and ring. After the English invasion of 1296, these regalia and the Stone of Scone, upon which the monarchs were invested and crowned, were captured by the English army and were taken south to London. New regalia was made in the 14th century for subsequent coronations, and though the Crown of Scotland may, in its previous form, date from around about this period. The other regalia were gradually replaced by the 16th century, and the current set of honours, consisting of the Crown of Scotland remodelled in 1540, and the sceptre, and the original Sword of State, which were both made in Italy and given to James IV as the papal gifts, and also the Elizabeth Sword, or the New State Sword of Scotland, which was made in 2023 by my son, Paul. Consort crown was made in 1539 for Mary Guise, wife of James V, but it doesn't survive amongst the honours. More history and mystery. The honours in the present form were first used together at the coronation of Mary Queen of Scots in 1543. And by the second half of the 16th century, they represented royal authority in the Scottish Parliament, and Acts of Parliament were given royal assent when the monarch touched them with the sceptre. The honours were usually kept in Edinburgh Castle, where they remained during the Marian Civil War, and Regent Morton brought the honours to Stirling Castle for his Parliament on the 15th of July, 1578, where they were held by the Earls of Angus, Lennox, and Mar. Now, the spurs, emblems of knighthood and chivalry, were presented to Charles I at his Scottish coronation in 1633, and the spurs and the coronation robes, of course, have been lost. History and mystery. The honours were last used at the coronation in 1651, when Charles II was crowned at Scone. As Oliver Cromwell had invaded Scotland the previous year, and Edinburgh Castle had surrendered his army that December, the honours could not be returned there. English crown jewels had already been melted down and struck into coins by the Commonwealth, and with Cromwell's army fast advancing on Scone, in June 1651, the Privy Council decided to place them at Dunnottar Castle in Kincardineshire, up on the east coast, which was the family seat of the Earl Marshal and the custodian of the honours, which gives the origins of the name and the rank or position of a marshal, including a US marshal for that matter. They were brought to Dunnottar, hidden in sacks of wool, and Sir George Ogilvy of Barras, who was the Lieutenant Governor of the castle, was given the responsibility for its defence. In November 1651, Cromwell's troops called on Ogilvy to surrender, but he refused. During the subsequent blockade of the castle, the removal of the honours of Scotland was planned by Elizabeth Douglas, who was the wife of Sir George Ogilvy, and Christian Fletcher, who was and wife of James Granger, minister of Kinneff Parish Church. Two stories exist regarding the removal of the honours. Fletcher stated in 1664 that over the course of 3 visits to the castle in February and March 1652, they carried away the crown, the sceptre, sword, and scabbard hidden amongst sacks of goods. But another account was given in the 18th century by a tutor of Earl Marshall, and it records that the honours were lowered from the castle onto the beach, where they were collected by Fletcher's servant and carried off in a creel of seaweed. Having smuggled the honours from the castle, Fletcher and her husband buried them under the floor of the old kirk at Kenneth. Now, that last one seems to be the popular choice of the story. At the restoration of Charles II in 1660, the honours were removed from Kenneth Old Kirk and returned to Edinburgh Castle. During the debates in the Scottish Parliament in October 1706 to January 1707 on the Treaty of Union, rumour spread that the honours were to be taken to England and melted down. To allay fears over the fate of the honours, on the 14th of January 1707, the Parliament amended Article 24 of the treaty with a clause stating that the crown, sceptre and sword of state continue to be kept as they are in that part of the United Kingdom, now called Scotland, and that they shall so remain in all time coming, notwithstanding of the Union. With the adjournment of Parliament on the 25th of March 1707, the honours no longer had any practical use. So they were taken to the Crown Room at Edinburgh Castle, where they were safely locked away in a great oak chest, and the doorway of the Crown Room was walled up. So on the 28th of October in 1817, the Prince Regent issued a royal warrant authorising specified commissioners to break open the walled-up doorway of the Crown Room. The commissioners broke into the Crown Room on the 4th of February 1818, half expecting to find the oak chest empty. And they were relieved to open it and discover the crown, the sceptre, and the sword wrapped in linen exactly as they'd been left 111 years earlier. The royal standard was hoisted above Edinburgh Castle in celebration of the historic moment. Cheers of excitement rippled through the castle, and members of the public, they gathered outside to hear the news. Then on the 26th of May in 1819, the honours went on public display in the Crown Room. They were guarded by two veterans of the Battle of Waterloo, dressed in Jacobean yeomanry outfit. George IV was crowned king in 1821, and his visit to Scotland the following year was the first by a monarch since 1651. So on the 12th of August 1822, the honours were escorted in procession of the palace to the Palace of Holyrood House at the foot of the Royal Mile. There was a carnival atmosphere with people lining the streets and observing from windows. 3 days later, the king arrived at the palace and symbolically touched the regalia before leaving the country. A week later, he took part in the return procession to the castle, where the honours would then remain until the 20th century. In 1911, the sword was carried before George V at the official opening of the Cecil Chapel in St Giles Cathedral in Edinburgh. It was the first time that any of the regalia had left Edinburgh Castle since 1822. During the Second World War, the honours were hidden at the castle, owing to fears that they might be lost if the UK fell to Germany. The crown and Stuart jewels were buried under the floor of a water closet, while the sceptre and sword and wand were hidden inside a wall. And the only officials who knew of the hiding place were George VI and the Scottish Secretary of State, the King's Remembrancer, and the Governor-General of Canada. So on the 24th of June 1953, they were presented to the newly crowned Elizabeth II at the National Service of Thanksgiving in St Giles Cathedral in Edinburgh. Keen to avoid the service being interrupted as a Scottish coronation, Sir Winston Churchill, then Prime Minister, advised the Queen to dress relatively informally. From 1971 to 1987, the sword was used at the installation of the Knights of the Order of the Thistle, Scotland's highest order of chivalry. When the Stone of Scone was returned to Scotland in 1996, it was placed in the Crown Room alongside the honours. During renovations in the 1990s, the honours were temporarily stored at an anonymous bank in Edinburgh. The Crown of Scotland was present in May 1999 at the first sitting of the devolved Scottish Parliament. It was carried on a cushion, the official reason being that it was too fragile for the Queen to wear. 2018, plans were announced to renovate the past its sell-by date honours exhibition and improve accessibility. So the Crown of Scotland was placed on Elizabeth II's coffin at the service at St Giles Cathedral on the 12th of September 2022 and remained there while she lay in rest. Her successor, King Charles III, was presented with the honours on the 5th of July 2023 at a national service of thanksgiving in the same cathedral. Now, a crown must have been made during the reign of Robert the Bruce and his son David II, as David was anointed and crowned, as were all the subsequent Stuart kings. And it was probably this new crown that was remodelled into the current crown. Arches were added to the crown by Adam Lees for James V in 1532, making it an imperial crown, symbolising the king subservient to no one but God. In 1540, the circlet was melted down and recast by the Edinburgh goldsmith John Mossman, with the addition of 22 gemstones to the original 20 and an extra 41 ounces of Scottish gold. James V first wore it to his wife's coronation in the same year at Holyrood Abbey. It weighs 3 pounds and 10 ounces, and the circlet is decorated with alternative fleur-de-lis and crossed fleury. 4 gold half arches preserved from the original crown are surrounded by gold mond. Enamel blue with stars representing the night sky. And on top of the mond is a cross decorated with black enamel pearls and a large amethyst. The 4 gold ornaments with a large pearl in the centre are attached to the bonnet between the crown's arches. The sceptre, a symbolic ornament rod held by the Scottish monarchs at their coronation, was a gift from Pope Alexander VI to James IV in 1494. Now, this papal gift replaced a native-made sceptre, which dated from the 14th century at the earliest, and which has been lost. More history and mystery. These things can't get lost. I mean, surely. But anyway, lost it is. And the sceptre was made in Italy of silver gilt and was remodelled and lengthened for James V by 1536 by the Edinburgh goldsmith Adam Lees, and that is now 3 feet long. The sceptre consists of a handle attached to the bottom of a hexagonal rod, which is topped by a finial, and the rod is engraved with three figures of the Virgin Mary.
You were frozen. Sorry, we didn't know if you were still there. Okay.
Yeah. Right.
Carry on.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So 3 figures on the top: the Virgin Mary wearing a crown, holding the infant Jesus in her right arm, and an orb in her left hand. St. James the Great was holding the book and staff, and St. Andrew holding a book and a psalter. The finial is topped by a globe of polished crystal and surmounted with gold globe topped with a large pearl. The original sword of state was a gift from Pope Julius II and presented to James IV along with a blessed hat in 1507 as papal recognition of James' defence of Christendom. The sword, which measures 5 foot in length, was made by Domenico de Sutri and replaced a native-made sword of honour that had been made in 1502 to complement the sceptre, and which has been lost. The steel blade, measuring 3 1/4 feet in length, is etched on either side with figures of St. Peter and St. Paul and the words Julius II Pont Max in inlaid gold lettering. The 1 foot and 3 1/2 inches silver gilt handle is decorated with oak leaves and acorns, with 2 stylized oak leaves which overlap the scabbard, and the cross guard in the form of dolphins. The sword of the state's wooden scabbard is bound in crimson velvet with silver gilt repoussé work and hung from a 5 foot long sword belt that's made from woven silk and the thread of gold, and has a silver gilt buckle. In 2023, just last year, the sword of state was considered too fragile to be presented along with the other honours of Scotland to King Charles III at the National Service of Thanksgiving and Dedication at St. Giles Cathedral on the 5th of July. So a new ceremonial sword, named the Elizabeth Sword, after the late Queen Elizabeth II, was made by Scottish sword maker Paul MacDonald, my son, as the newest addition to the honours, or the Crown Jewels of Scotland. It took 5 months to create at a cost of £22,000. There's a lot of gold in there. And that's Paul holding up the state sword, the new state sword. That is, it's quite heavy. It's considerably heavier than the old one, but that's good fit to last another 500 years. And I think there's other photographs there, have we, of Paul? That there is in Paul's workshop. That's the blade of the state sword, just under its initial construction. It took hours and hours of work, all handcrafted right through. And the next photo, that's more detailed, showing the Damascus steel of the blade, and this was just before the lettering was inlaid in gold. But the precision that was required to get all those folds of the Damascus steel absolutely in line was just quite incredible. And there we have more detailed of the hilt of the sword, along with the scabbard as well, which is velvet based and all bound in gold right the way through. And was that the last photo? I think
that was it.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh,
yeah,
so
absolutely beautiful.
It's just so
Congratulations.
so much history and mystery. But very proud of Paul for that achievement. And of course, he couldn't tell me until about 2 or 3 days before the actual event. And
oh wow!
He was, they're sworn to secrecy on that sort of thing. So that was it. And he told me it was just the afternoon after he'd been invited to the Palace of Holyrood to meet King Charles III to talk about the sword and the work that had been done. So yeah, very proud of him. I was sort of, for once in my life, I was actually sort of rendered speechless, I think.
That was a big accomplishment to keep to himself. Wow, amazing.
Well, that was part of the reason why I was speechless, because Paul doesn't usually keep secrets like that. Really, but having said that, a few phone calls to him, and I could tell there was something going on, and I just couldn't quite pin it down. So he kept stum right the way through. So another reason to be very proud of him. That was
as you should be. Magnificent accomplishment, goes down in history.
Well, that's it. I mean, this is now part of the Scottish Crown Jewels, and will be the state sword recognised from now on. So it's a good bit of publicity for him. I think he's a busy guy, and he's actually his waiting list for new swords, and he's doing a special reconstruction of the fighting knives used by the commandos during the Second World War, and he's got a waiting list of up to 10 years. So wow. He had to sort of fit this one in, because it was only decided at the beginning of the year that the old state sword was just too fragile to use. So it was very hurried design work, and then actually making the sword as well. And it took a long time to make it, as it all crafted by hand. So
I'd love to have him on the show. It'd be great to interview him about it.
Yeah, that would be fun. Yes, he couldn't bring it with him.
No, I guess not.
The thing is, when you're in school and you're thinking about different things you might like to do for a career, it never entered my mind that you could be an artist to design swords. That's just amazing.
I mean, thinking of what I was doing at the time when he was at school, and I had my smokehouse going, and I was doing things like smoking alligator and kangaroo and ostrich. So who was I to turn around and tell him to go and get a proper job?
I love it. Well, what a great way to celebrate our 100th episode. Diane, what comes to mind when you think about celebration? What should we be doing for 100 episodes?
Oh, my goodness gracious. I think just being together and, I have my tea. I'm very British, right?
And my water.
You've been to Boston at a tea party.
That's right. Maybe on our 150th, maybe we can all be in person. That would be fun.
Yes.
That would be fun. Yeah.
But y'all come to Texas or Florida.
Yeah, you guys come over here. That would be great.
Well, that's the only problem with that one is will Diane be there? She's
I'll
always
get in my
traveling
car
out
and drive.
somewhere.
It's
Yeah.
it's just I-10,
She'll book it in.
17 hours to Florida. It's no big deal.
Yeah, we'll let you
No
tire us
big
down.
deal. Got a room waiting for you, Diane. Well, we're going to be closing out because our next show, Global Social Entrepreneurs with Ann Scotland, is coming up. So let's go around and give our final message for this 100th episode as we share something special with our audience. I'm going to go over to Helena instead of Diane first. Yay.
I was about to say, we should all just take a little trip to Edinburgh Castle and go and look at the Scottish crown jewels, etc. I think it'd be really good fun, and we could also creep in through a window. But actually, thinking about it, it's very simple for me. It's finding pockets of fun and joy, and I do think that in itself, whatever it is, it sort of takes you down that path. And for me personally, I can find my creativity there, and that's when the great ideas and all the things that I want to achieve always pop into my mind. But you have to be in that happy place, I feel. So it's very simple, and then you can get through, instead of all these to-do lists, you can do your ta-das as you tick them off.
I love that. Ta-da! Absolutely beautiful. Thank you. Simon, what about you? What would you like to leave our audience with today?
Well, on this day in 1496, Leonardo da Vinci unsuccessfully tested a flying machine. And in 1870, the construction begins on New York's Brooklyn Bridge. For birthdays, in J.R.R. Tolkien, who's the British author of The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings, who was born in Bloemfontein in South Africa in 1892. Belated happy birthday. And present one as well, Mel Gibson, 68 today. He was born in 1956, the American actor who's famous for Mad Max, Mrs. Awful, Lethal Weapon, and many other movies. Braveheart as well included in him. Happy birthday, Mel, and cheers. And it's the 100th one today.
We'll check with you on saying 100th when you finish that glass. That would be interesting. 100th. Diane, what would you like to say?
Goodness gracious. I just want to tell everybody how I'm so honored to be with all of you and to share 100 days of interviewing, learning from y'all. It's just a true blessing. To all our listeners, I can't thank you enough. And I hope you might find your special word. So for mine, again, it's kind. And I know that all of you listening and watching, that you've already been blessed today because your eyes opened up. So go out and share your light with others. Thank you, Dr. Jacalyn.
Thank you, Diane. I appreciate that. And what I'll share is there's a lot of this in the fitness industry. And, I work out like a crazy person because I love it. But it's all about, the calendar change. So now all of a sudden we're supposed to change. And what I really want people to do is I want them to come up with a why. What is the why you want to change? And once you do change, what is going to make your life so different? Because we set these goals for ourselves. They're really sometimes unrealistic because we don't know what is the inspiration and the motivation for us to do it. And once we accomplish it, how is that going to change our life? So I gave the example and I'll give it now. I've always wanted 6-pack abs. Well, I don't eat the way that I should to have 6-pack abs, and we don't have the genetics in our family for that. But if I had the 6-pack abs, how would my life really change? Am I going to be on the cover of a magazine? No. Is some hot guy going to say, well, now he wants me because I have 6? No, I don't think so. So it's really unrealistic. So I'm taking it off my list. And that's what I would say to our audience. Come up with your why, and what will your life be? How will your life be different or more meaningful once you have accomplished that why? And if it doesn't make sense, move on to the next thing. It's not the day of the calendar. It's what's in here, and what's in here that will really catapult you to the next level. They're my words of wisdom for today. Yeah.
Very good. Thank you. That's great.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, we are going to close out with our sponsorship from DIANN FLOYD. And by the way, Diane, I love this one. We're getting a lot of great feedback about Ruby. I love the messaging and I love the music. It's so dramatic. Give us a little bit of background about Ruby.
So Ruby is based, thank you, Dr. Jacalyn. Ruby is based on my grandmother Ruby's life. She was such an inspiration, a trailblazer, and I wanted people to discover their own fire in the gut, so to speak, that because if a woman in 1904 can find a way to make sure that she can go to college and be educated and make her dreams come true, and it was very difficult and very hard, especially coming from middle America in 1904, you were supposed to get married, at 14. She was lucky. Her parents said no, 18. Oh my goodness gracious. But she battled it through, ended up in Chicago, and made sure that she found the job that she was meant to do. Thank you.
Thank you, Diane. You're like a ventriloquist, I think, because you said that whole thing without moving.
I know I'm frozen, but I just kept on going.
I was very impressed with that.
That was really good. I love it. Fantastic. All right, everybody, stay tuned and watch and get to know a little bit about Ruby. And thank you. Whatever you're celebrating, let us know. We'd love to hear from you. If you'd like to be a guest, we've got some cool guests coming up that I didn't even get to tell our audience about, but we'd love to hear from you. Go over to usaglobaltv.com and contact us. All right, take a look at this.
Hello everyone, I'm Simon MacDonald. I live in the West Highlands of Scotland, a very beautiful part of the world. Seems a long way from the USA Global TV station. But remember, USA Global TV is worldwide. It's a fantastic platform. And every Wednesday, I come along here as part of the show of the United Kingdom, News and Culture. And it's just like a family reunion each time. It's one of these amazing stations that has such a beautiful, friendly, and intelligent atmosphere as well. And we reach out to an audience in the most unimaginable places. And I came here, I don't know, must be over a year ago now. I was introduced by Dr. Philip Chan, and I met Ian Plum-Turner and Helena CHARD, who are co-presenters on the show. And then DIANN, FLOYD, BOEHM came along as well. And I mean, the five of us, Dr. Jacalyn, of course, who is our host and our mentor, has just made this show work so well. Tremendous people, lovely time we have, and we impart a lot of information, a lot of knowledge. Nothing's rehearsed. It's all done off the cuff, and it all just gels. And we get great feedback from people coming back and saying how they're enjoying the show. It's lovely to hear, and it's lovely to get that interaction from outside as well. And we're all listeners, and some of us are elevated listeners as well. So we enjoy every second of it, and we hope you do too.